All right. So it looks like we are done. Actually, we're done. Now we can go ahead and print, right? Create, let's say, a main method and then a main function and print the details, right? But since chapter 5 is all about functions, let's create another function that's going to just print the details or print the sales reports, okay? Because that's what the question is saying. It says we should calculate and display the following, and this is like a sales tax report, right? Monthly sales tax. So we can go ahead and create a function called print sales tax report. And all what this function is going to do is basically going to print out details. Okay, so we need to give it certain arguments so that it can print them. What we want to print in this case, first of all, we want to print, because this is what we're supposed to display: the county sales tax, state sales tax, and the total tax. So if it first needs the county sales tax, so I'm going to define a parameter called county sales tax. It also needs the state sales tax, so I'm going to define another parameter for state sales tax, and it also needs the total sales tax, so I'm going to define a parameter for that, so total sales tax. And then since we have these arguments, all we have to do is just display them. So I'm going to use the print function to display them, and I'm going to pass them in as individual arguments, right? So the first thing I want to display is just a string saying county sales tax, and I'm going to concatenate it with the formatted version of county sales tax. Now the format function takes in two arguments: what you want to format, which is county sales tax, and how you want it formatted, which is going to be a format specifier in these two quotation marks, all right, or these two double quotations. So now I'm going to specify a format, right? So this is what I want to format, and then I'm going to specify basically how I want it formatted, right? So first of all, I want it because I know county sales tax is a float, right? It's a float. It's a dollar amount. Let's say 25.2. It's a float. I want it formatted as a float. So I'm going to type in the letter F to represent float, meaning I want it formatted as a float first of all. I also want it formatted to 2 decimal places, so I'm going to specify the precision, and the precision goes in front of the type. So I'm going to type in 0.2 to represent 2 decimal places. If I wanted it formatted to 3 decimal places, I would say 0.3. Now I want it formatted to 2 decimal places, so I'll say 0.2. But it goes before the type, okay? So 0.2f. All right, and since it's roughly, it's an amount, it's a dollar amount, I also want a dollar sign in front of it, like this. One more thing here, I also want commas where necessary. When it's displayed, I want it to be displayed with commas where necessary. So if the amount is $1 million, the tax is $1 million, I want it displayed as 1,000,000,000, and I'm going to type in a comma in front of the precision, okay, and the type. Okay, so type in the comma first, before the precision, before the type, okay, and that's going to automatically put commas where necessary. All right, so if it's $1 million, it's going to read 1,000,000,000. So this whole thing is my first argument that I'm displaying. I'm going to put a comma here and display my second argument. Now remember, I mentioned that this line is a guideline to restrict me to 80 characters, or basically help me type 80 characters on a line at most. So I know I'm going to exceed it. So I'm just, since what the second argument is going to be similar to the first argument, I'm going to copy it and paste it here, right? But I know I'm going to exceed it, so I'm going to break it somewhere around here. All right, I'm just breaking it. So I'm going to close the string here, concatenate it with the beginning of this string, and break it somewhere around here. Oh, sorry. Actually, I'm exceeding it again. I don't know why I did that. Let's undo it. Oops. And then break it somewhere here. Actually, somewhere here. So close the string, concatenate it with the beginning of the string, and then break it somewhere here. So type in, so type in a backslash and you hit enter. Before you break any line, you type in the backslash and hit enter. So I've broken it to 2 lines, the same line. All right, so that's my second argument, but I need to change things around. The second argument is going to be let's see. Oh, and this was supposed to be county sales tax, all right? county sales tax is what we are formatting. This value that's given by the user is what we are formatting. All right, sorry about that. And we've exceeded it here, so let's fix that. For now, I'll just shift this here like that. Okay, like this, just so you know. I normally like spaces here, but it's fine. For now, let's just do this. It still works. All right. All right, so we are formatting the county sales tax. The next thing is going to be the state sales tax, right? So I'm going to change it to just to the state sales tax, and we are formatting the state sales tax over here. Also to two decimal places as a float, commas where necessary, and a dollar sign in front of it. And that's my second argument. My third argument is going to be this, similar to first and a second. I'm going to copy this whole thing, break it somewhere around here, close the string, concatenate it with the beginning of the next string, and before you break any line, you type in the backslash, hit enter, like this. All right, so that's my third argument here. And the third argument is going to be the total sales tax over here. So name this as total. Oops. Okay, so let's just bring this back here. Make sure we're done, and then we'll break it. All right, so change this to total sales tax, and let's break it here now. I mean, we could have simply changed it, but it's fine. Break it here. Like that. Okay. So total sales tax is going to be the formatted version of total sales tax, which is given by the user here. So okay, also formatted the same way. So that's all this function is going to do. It's just going to go ahead and print out these details. So when I run this, right, I saved it. So well, nothing is going to happen. Okay, so now let's just see. We don't have any errors, so that's good. Nothing's going to happen because we haven't called any of these functions, right? But that's basically what it's going to do. When it's displayed, we'll normally, when you pass in function arguments this way, they are displayed with a space separate in them. But we'll fix that. For now, we've defined all the functions, so let's go ahead and call them, right? Now I'm going to go ahead and define a main function where I'm going to basically create our program. So the main function is basically the function that you should call. Is the first function that you should call when you're running your program. Okay, it's in most programs it's the first function or first method that is called, and that basically runs your program. That's your starting point for your program. All right, so we are basically creating a program in main, and then when we are done, we will call the main function, and that's going to basically call everything else. So the first thing we want to do is we want to ask for total sales, right? It's the function that we created above here. And ask for total sales is basically going to ask the user for total sales, right? It's going to return the total sales. And once it returns it, we need a place to store it. So in main, I'm going to go ahead and create another variable. I'm going to call it user total sales. Okay. Or let's say user total sales for month, actually, for month. Right? It's a long name, but hey, it still works. So that's fine. So we're calling this function, it's returning the user total sales for month. Or it's returning the total sales for the month. So we'll have it here. And the next thing we want to do is once we have the total sales for the month, we want to go ahead and calculate the county sales tax. So I'm going to copy this function. We're going to calculate the county sales tax. Now the county sales tax function, it needed the total sales for month, which we have here as the user total sales for month. So I'm going to copy it and pass it in here as an argument. And the calculate county sales tax, once you provided a user total sales for month, it's going to basically return the county sales tax, right? So I'm going to go ahead and create another variable called county sales tax in main. And that's going to store whatever has been returned by the calculate county sales tax function, right? Again, this name is not the same as this. Like I said, all the variables are the scope of the variables are within the individual functions. So this county sales tax is different from this county sales tax, is different from this county sales tax. Okay, this is a county sales tax I'm defining in main, so it doesn't matter. All right, so now I have the county sales tax. The next thing I want to do is calculate the state sales tax. And we know to calculate that we need the function here. Calculate 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 state sales tax here. So I'm going to call that function. And that function also needs the total sales for the month, which I have stored as user total sales for month. So I'm going to pass in that as an argument. And once we call the calculate state sales tax function by giving it the user total sales for month, it's going to go ahead and return the state sales tax. And so I'm going to go ahead and create a variable called state sales tax, which is going to store the state sales tax. And then once I'm done with that, what I want to do is calculate the total sales tax. So I'm going to call this the total sales tax function. Now the total sales tax function, we defined it to accept in two arguments, which is state sales tax, which we have here, and then the county sales tax, which we have. Sorry, I keep on messing the name. I keep on saying county state tax. And all right, so the calculate total sales tax, we defined it to accept in the state sales tax, which we have here, and then the county sales tax, which we have here. So we can use them. It needs the state sales. I keep on saying tails. It needs the state sales tax, and it also needs the county sales tax. And once you give or you pass in these two arguments to this calculate total sales tax function, it's going to go ahead and return the total sales. So I'm going to go ahead and create a variable called total sales, which is going to store the total sales, by giving, based on the value of the state sales tax and then the county sales tax. And then now once we have all the values, we can go ahead and print them, right? So let's call the function print sales tax report. And print sales tax report, we define it to accept in three arguments, which is county sales tax, which we have here. So I'm going to paste it here. We also defined it to accept the state sales tax, which we have here as state sales tax. So I'm going to pass it in here. And we also defined it to accept the total sales tax, which we have it here as total sales. So I'm going to go ahead and pass that also in here. And then we are done. Now, all we have to do is, if we run this program the way it is now, nothing is going to happen because all we've done is just define functions. We haven't called any of them. So we have to call main, since main is basically doing everything. Main is calling all the functions and then doing everything. So all we have to do is just call the main function like this. Okay, so now let's run it and see what happens. Okay, so we have a problem. Let's see what, okay, sorry, main doesn't need call. It's only when you're defining functions, that's when you put the colon. When you're calling it, you don't have to type in a colon. I don't know why I typed in a colon. But yeah, when you're calling a function, you don't type in the colon, okay? That's when you're defining it, and you have code under it. All right, so, and when you're defining it, you also use the keyword def to define it. So let's run it now. And now it says, please enter the total sales for the month. I'm going to type in, let's say, 4,000. And hit enter, and it says the county sales tax is this, the county state county. I messed up the names of it. This is supposed to be county sales tax, and this is supposed to be state sales tax, right? So let's adjust this here a little bit. Hold on. Let's see if this is correct. Okay, so it's looking all right. All right, so let's break this somewhere around here. Let's run this and see what happens. Type in 4,000. Okay. All right, so I just had to fix, I think I had extra wording in there, so I had to fix the adjustment so I don't exceed this line. So it reads this way: county sales tax is $100, state sales tax is $200, and then total sales tax is $300. But we don't want to display it this way. We want to display it vertically and not horizontally. That's when you call the print function this way. When you call the print function this way by typing or by passing in arguments, so this is the first argument, this is the second argument, and this is the third argument. So when you call the print function this way by passing in arguments this way, they are separated with a space when they are displayed. So that's what we see. We can see the first argument, which is county sales tax $100. We see a space here, and then we can see state sales tax $200. We can see a space here, and then we can see the last argument. So by default they are separated with a space. We can go ahead and then change the separator by default. Okay, and the way we change the separator is by passing in another argument of SEP. Okay, and the value of that is we're changing it from a space, which is by default. Okay, so SEP stands for separator. We're changing the separator from a space to a new line character. So a new line character is a \n. So these two characters, okay, / and n, okay, is the new line character. Both of them is the new line character. When you type in the \, you are starting an escape sequence. Okay, that means that, hey, don't treat this as a regular n that I want you to print. I want you to know that this n stands for it's special. When I type in this \, that means that one of the special characters are coming. And when it sees this n, it's basically going to create a new line, meaning it's going to separate these arguments with a new line. That means when you print the first one, separate it with not a space but a new line. That means move the position from where it's at to the next line, and then display the next argument, and then move the position from where it's at to the next line, and then display the next argument from that line that it's on at the moment. Okay, that line that it moved to, the next line that it moved to, continue from there. So that's what a new line character is. So that's what we're changing the separator from a space to a new line character. So when we run this again and we type in 4,000 and hit enter, we can see that it's been displayed vertically. All right. So yeah, so that's one more thing. I'll talk about that in a second. Let's just make sure. All right. So we said to calculate the county sales tax. Sorry about that. The county sales tax, it was 2.5% of the amount, right? So 2.5%, which is 2.5 divided by 100 of 4,000. That gives us $100. So we can see that the county sales tax is correct. Okay, and 5%, which for the sales tax, 5%, okay, of 4,000 is $200, and we can see that's correct also. And all we have to do to calculate the total sales tax is by adding 100 to 200, and we get 300. The only thing I want to do now is this. After the question, I want to create a new line before displaying the results. Right. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll use the new line character in a sense. Right. So this is the function over here that is asking the question. Right. This is the function that's asking the question here. Okay. So in essence, so let me just do something here. When you type in the print function this way, when you call the print function this way and you tell it to print, let's say this, it does the exact thing, and it prints that thing for you. So when I type in let's say 4,000 again, I hit enter, it does the exact thing you told it to do. You told it to print this, it printed it for you. By default, the way the print function works is after it has printed what you've told it to print, it moves the position from where it's at here to the next line here. And anything that comes after this thing you've told it to print is going to continue from this line, from the next line. So by default, the print function ends with a new line character. When it's done printing what you've told it to print, it ends it with a new line, meaning moving the position from here to here. and then anything that comes after that, after what you've told it to print, is displayed on that next line. So when you call the print function and you tell it to print nothing, in other words, call the print function with empty arguments, but by typing in nothing, you are still telling it to print something. In this case, you're telling it to print nothing. That something is nothing, right? You're telling it to print nothing here. Okay, it's going to go ahead and print nothing on this line. But by default, also, remember I said the print function always ends with a new line. You told it to print nothing. It's going to go ahead and print nothing for you, all right? But by default, it's going to end it with a new line character also. It's going to move the position from where it's at to the next line. And anything that comes after this empty print that you've told it to print, an empty line. So anything that comes after that empty line is going to be displayed on that next line. So you're printing nothing this time around, but it ends with a new line character by default. So it moves to the next line. And anything that comes after this print function is displayed on that next line. So in essence, when you type in a print function by passing in no argument, you are telling it to print an empty line. So that's one way to do it. So when I run this and I type in 4,000, I can see that there's a new line here, and then we have our results. So that's one way to do it. Okay. All right. So let's see. All right, so if you try to, for example, put in a new line character here, okay, so let's go ahead and delete this here. All right, so let's try this. 4,000. Oops. So you see so that's the problem here. Okay, so that's the problem. Over here, if you try to do this, it's displaying the question all right, but it's ending the question with a new line character. So whatever you type is displayed on that next line, because after displaying the question, it moved the position from where it's at to the next line, and it was waiting for you to type it there, right? So if you do that, it wouldn't necessarily work, right? It wouldn't necessarily work. So you can type in you can pass in the print function here. All right, in the ask for total sales function, okay, instead of typing it here, instead of typing it where we're basically here. All right, that's where we did it. All right, so let's so over here when we type in after the question, I'll be allowed the user to type in everything is stored here, and then we print a new line with the method I mentioned. Oops. So let's just move here and type in. It's frozen somehow. Let's run this again and type in 4,000. Hit enter. We can see that also creates a new line character. So when you do in here, this displays the question with a new line character. So it's not necessarily going to work, but wait till you're done displaying the question, accepting the input, and then you can call the print function. So you can either type it here or you can put it here. Okay, anywhere works. So let's just leave this, and then I think we're done. All right, so if you have any questions, please comment down below, and I'll do everything to respond to them. Forget about the typecasting thing. That was in Java. It looks like if you really wanted to do integer division in Python, you have to do 2 slashes. So, sometimes, like I said, these things that I have done over and over again skips me. And yeah, so that was why. All right, so forget about the typecasting. 5 divided by 100, it gives you 0.05 in Python. This also gives you the correct thing. It doesn't drop anything after the decimal point. It gives you the actual value. So just forget about that. And like I said, if you have any questions, please comment down below, and I'll do everything to respond to them. Thank you very much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time with the next program. All right, bye-bye.